So with WIZ ONEs disbandment in April of 2021, it ends the produce era in Korea. From the group's entry into the K-pop world in 2018, the group was welcomed with open arms. They made their presence felt immediately in K-pop, as you can't talk about K-pop history without mentioning WIZ ONEs. Their impact was that big, so when they disbanded in April, it would send shockwaves throughout the industry. WIZ ONEs disbanding was one of the big news of 2021. In just 2.5 years, they became one of the biggest female groups in K-pop. And what's really impressive about them that I found is that they're not only popular in Korea, as both K-pop fans and casual fans liked WIZ ONEs, but they were also quite popular internationally as well. And to have a group that's both popular domestically as well as overseas is quite rare in K-pop. Not many groups hit that level of fame, but WIZ ONEs did. I mean, when you have bangers like this, it's hard not to see how this group found success. The group also tested my ability on how to pronounce pretty much everything related to WIZ ONEs. For instance, songs like Color Eyes can either be colorized or color eyes. Their fan name of WIZ ONEs can also be pronounced as WIZ ONEs, WIZ ONEs the Korean way, or WIZ ONEs. To be safe, I went with the Korean pronunciation of WIZ ONEs. But despite the use of stars in pretty much everything WIZ ONEs, the group stood out and was wildly successful throughout their career. So let's delve right in and see what made WIZ ONEs have such an impact on K-pop. When WIZ ONEs was created from the popular music reality show Produce 48, the group would be the next idol group that would be expected to be big right away. The Produce 101 and 48 shows were insanely popular during this time, from 2016 to 2020, as every group that's debuted from this music reality show became an instant hit. Expectations would be high for WIZ ONEs. They would be Season 3's winner from Produce 48, and they would follow female group IOI and male group 101 from Seasons 1 and 2 respectively. The group would be a grand experiment if K-pop and J-pop idols could work together. Produce 48 was marketed as K-pop meets J-pop, with a lot of J-pop idols from the famed AKB48 family in Japan coming to Korea to compete on the show. The group would combine elements of K-pop training with the AKB48 system. With 9 Korean and 3 Japanese members, the 12-member group reminded many of Twice, since the JYP group also had 3 Japanese members of their own. After the final 12 contestants would be finalized and formed WIZ ONEs, CJ Entertainment would announce 2 pieces of big news. One, that the group would be co-managed by Swing Entertainment and Off the Record Entertainment. And 2, the group would have a 2.5-year contract. And this is huge, as previous Produce groups IOI and 101 only had 1-year contracts. And this longer contract would play a huge part on the sudden explosion of WIZ ONEs' popularity from the start. The 2.5-year contract would ensure fan loyalty to the group. WIZ ONEs fandom knew that with the girls being together for a longer period of time, they could commit to their group long term. Fans want to be able to enjoy WIZ ONEs for a long time, to not worry about their favorite group disbanding, say, 8 months later. Another big reason that this contract length is so important is that the group can promote, get to know the WIZ ONEs, and take their time with their music. A big problem that both IOI and 101 had with their 1-year contracts is that they had to rush to create music, bond with their fans, and promote their brand, all at the same time. In fact, to create one album alone takes a lot of time, with promotions, creating choreography for a music video, creating the lyrics, and singing the song. This process can take months. Take IOI for instance. They had 2 extended plays, which were released in May 2016 and October 2016, a 6-month span, alongside doing 6 music videos. After that, IOI would disband, making that 1 year go by so fast. IOI never had enough time to create a stronger bond with their fans, and who can blame them with their short time constraints? WIZ ONEs would not have the same problem. With a 2.5-year contract, they had a lot more time to establish themselves, and they made their presence felt right away. They would release 2 studio albums, 7 extended plays in Korea and Japan, and 9 singles during that time. They featured on 8 reality shows, toured Korea, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Japan to a total audience of 81,000 people. And heck, the group was even in their own concert movie. WIZ ONEs would most likely have toured and had a huge audience attendance in 2020 if it weren't for COVID. The group also had a huge advantage, like Twice, to promote in both Korea and Japan due to their Japanese members, so it's no surprise that WIZ ONEs had huge fandoms in both Korea and Japan. The group, like every other produced group, instantly experienced success. With their debut extended play, Colorize, in 2018, the extended play broke the record for highest sales in a week for a female group. This song, La Via en Rose, hit number 1 on various points on Soribara, Bugs, and Mnet. Overall, the song ranked number 14 on the Gaon and also ranked 22nd on the Japan Hot 100, showing that WIZ ONEs was already the new talk in K-pop circles. They became the fastest group to win a music show. They became New Artist of the Year and had several end-of-the-year award shows in 2018. From 2019 on, WIZ ONEs posted some impressive numbers. The ladies would head to Japan and sell very well with their Japanese singles Tsukito Iwasatai. In just 1 year, WIZ ONEs was the Oricon's best-selling group for a newcomer, selling 510 million yen, or about 5.5 billion won. They would also release Hard Eyes in Korea, selling just over 132,000 copies and setting a new record for most sales in the first week. And they would make their US debut in KCON 2019 in New York and Los Angeles. Unfortunately, 2019 would be a bad year, but not for the ladies personally, but for the produced series, as the show's producers were caught in a major vote-rigging scandal.
네, 시청자 투표로 아이돌 가수를 뽑는 프로그램에서 그 투표 결과를 조작했다는 혐의를 받고 있는 CJ E&M의 제작진 2명이
Producers of a famous audition show have been arrested for alleged vote rigging. The scandal has caused public outrage because it was the viewers who were supposed to choose the winner of the audition.
The scandal will delay several of WIZ ONEs promotions, guest appearances, and music releases. And we'll talk about this vote-rigging scandal a bit later. Despite the 2019 vote-rigging scandal and even 2020's COVID pandemic, which shut down all live concerts and appearances, the group thrived and still had incredible success. Their third extended play, Onayark Diary, had over 510,000 online sales and went double platinum by the KMCA, with the only other group hitting that double platinum being the nation's girl group, Twice with More and More. Onayark Diary actually broke a sales record for a female group, selling just over 356,000 copies in its first week. And this would actually break her own record held by the previous extended play, Bloom Eyes. And one big reason why Onayark Diary sold so well is that it was reported that a lot of WIZ ONEs bought a lot of the extended play, ranging anywhere from 10 to 40 copies. With numbers like that, it's safe to say that the group found major success in both Korea and Japan, with a slew of international fans backing them. To WIZ ONEs, they felt a special connection with WIZ ONEs. The group's chemistry and their synchronization were on point, which can be seen in their music videos. Alongside the group's different, colorful concepts, some great discography, and talent that reminded fans of Girls' Generation. The group also had some great bonding moments with their fans, with several meme videos.
꽃은비래요? 꽃이 뭐야? 아니요, 네, 꽃, 네. 꽃이요? 네. 꽃이 뭐예요?
Or the Dingo Mafia dance?
확실해. 내가 왜 확실해? 이상해. 지금 감 잡았네 우리 보고.
Their talents, looks, and their fun individual character made for a great group, and why their career exploded and ranked them among the top female celebrities in Korea by the end of 2020. Yet by the end of 2020, reality soon set in. The group's contract would end in early 2021. While there were rumors that the group would be resigned, talks soon broke down. On February 11, 2021, the group announced that they would be holding their final concert before their disbandment in April that year. Fans felt robbed that they didn't get a proper farewell tour, and fans would try their best and prevent WIZ ONEs from disbanding. A crowdfunding project called the Parallel Universe Project was launched on April 21st, days just before the group's official disbandment. In just 20 minutes, the crowdfunding hit 900,000 USD. The total would soon hit roughly 2.9 million USD, or roughly 3.2 billion won at the time of this video, showing the immense popularity and loyalty of the WIZ ONEs fandom. What's even most impressive is that this amount was crowdfunded solely from Korean fans. Further discussions between all K-pop labels involved would take place, with about half of them wanting to do a contract extension, while the other half refusing an extension. Some of the more extreme Korean fans, also called the WIZ ONEs fan union, sent some trucks and small billboards to CJ Entertainment's main offices. Their goal was to stop WIZ ONEs disbandment by protesting. This group demanded that the company keep the 12 members as a group to perform, and then followed up by basically saying, "We will boycott all their activities." This fan union would also have additional demands. Now, this didn't go well with all the WIZ ONEs. While some did support these direct demands, many other Korean WIZ ONEs, and especially international fans, were against this, saying that these demands were way too harsh and to be more diplomatic about this. In the end, both the crowdfunding and the fans' pleas would not be enough, as the group would disband on April 29, 2021. To prepare for their upcoming disbandment, on March 13th and 14th, WIZ ONEs would have their final concert called One, The Story. During the end of the concert, the group would leave WIZ ONEs with this message: "We were able to endure well and stand up again every time we were exhausted and struggling because the members and WIZ ONEs were there. Please always reliably be on our side, and thank you for making us unforgettable memories. We were happy each and every day thanks to WIZ ONEs." And with that, WIZ ONEs would disband. When we look back at this group, it's easy to see their impact. All their music releases sold over 200,000 copies and either hit gold or platinum status in Korea and Japan. They would become the second most popular female group in Korea from 2018 to 2020, just behind TWICE. And seeing the members tear up and cry during their disbandment showed just how much WIZ ONEs and the WIZ ONEs meant to them. What's unfortunate is that WIZ ONEs' career ran during the Produce scandal, which did affect the group in the background. And while WIZ ONEs still thrived despite those scandals, it did create a negative image on the Produce series and gave unnecessary baggage towards those Produce groups. The Produce shows may have ended in 2020 because of the scandals, but when WIZ ONEs disbanded, it signaled the end of the Produce era in Korea. They were the last group from the show, and what a ride it was. So, about this Produce voting scandal I keep mentioning. The scandal would be one of the biggest stories in 2019, and the controversy was first found during Produce X101, or the 4th season of the Produce show. Now, if you're a fan of the Produce series, you know that the show is based off voting. So after every show, the fans vote, and then the idols with the highest votes get to stay on, and the ones with the lowest votes get voted off. So it sounds pretty simple so far, but when Korean fans found voting discrepancies, that became quite a problem. And it made me realize that never mess with Korean fans' math and stat skills. And I know this firsthand because before I was a journalist, I used to teach at Korean University and as a high school instructor at an international school. And let me tell you, Korean math is no joke. So naturally, some of these Korean students are also K-pop fans. And when they were calculating the votes for Produce X101, they're like, wait a minute, that looks pretty shady. And they noticed a lot of voting patterns and how certain idols got favoritism and how certain idols that should have been eliminated didn't. So you can see where the problem's gonna lie. So when these Korean fans found all these discrepancies and errors, they had a hunch that there was some foul play going on, that there was some vote rigging behind the scenes. And sadly enough, these fans' hunch was actually the truth. When the Produce 101 and 48 producers admitted to vote rigging the Produce series, producers An Jun-young, Kim Yong-bum, and other high-ranking staff were quickly arrested from various K-pop labels as well as CJ Entertainment. The charges involved included business fraud, burglary, and bribery. The non-charges and long-term implications are that all future music reality shows will be put under a huge microscope, as fans will ask the question, can this show be trusted? Will it be rigged like Produce 101 and 48? It's safe to say that many viewers of the series weren't too happy when hearing about the vote rigging.
모아놓고 TV에 나와가지고 이렇게 클린한 것처럼 해놓고서는 알고 보니까 내정자가 있고.
나니까 그동안 열심히 참여했던 저와 제 친구들의 그런 노력이 수포로 돌아가는 것 같아서 어떠한 박탈감도 느낄 수 있는 것 같고요.
According to the now guilty producers, vote rigging spanned all 4 seasons of the Produce series, including WIZ ONEs. The producers felt immense pressure to make WIZ ONEs and X1, the 4th season's group, to become highly successful. These producers would pick out the members they liked and give some of them a heads up on the challenge competitions ahead of time, giving them a huge advantage. They would also give favored trainees a lot more screen time during the show, swaying fans to vote for their preferred idols. it was reported that in August 2018, just before the show that would announce the final members of WIZ ONEs, the production team would exclude members that they didn't like or didn't think that would fit the group. This would go against the whole point of a voting system, since the fans' vote in the end didn't matter, or mattered a lot less, compared to the production staff just simply saying, "Oh, I don't like girl A and B, so let's replace them with girl C and D instead." This would play a huge part with two ladies that barely didn't make the cut to the final 12 of WIZ ONEs, Han Cho-won, who got 13th place, and former after-school member Lee Ga-eun, who got 14th place. Court records on November 18th would show that these two ladies were eliminated because of voting manipulation, as they were actually ranked 6th and 5th place respectively, if you take out the vote rigging. Now, I do think that the final 12 members of WIZ ONEs are all great picks, and it's not their fault at all. But at the same time, there's this terrible feeling lingering of being screwed over, and what if Cho-won and Ga-eun got a fair shot instead? Both ladies lost out to be in a group that was wildly popular, and lost out on a decent payout, incredible branding, and having a slew of opportunities after WIZ ONEs. These two ladies missing out on WIZ ONEs does bring up a morality choice with WIZ ONEs, so these fans can empathize with them, with some saying that they should have been in the original group, or rightfully compensated for the damages. But there are a lot of WIZ ONEs that also side with the Mnet producers that vote rigged the show, since it did create WIZ ONEs. These fans are very happy with the final WIZ ONEs lineup and couldn't imagine any other member being in the group. It's a tough dilemma to think about, since WIZ ONEs could have radically been different if there were no vote manipulation. Fortunately, both ladies took the vote manipulation much better than expected. Ga-eun signed with High Entertainment and is preparing to do a solo career in singing, and especially interested in acting. As for Cho-won, she's in the new promising group by Cube Entertainment, Lightsum. So now that the group is sadly no more, we gotta talk about what's next for WIZ ONEs and how the group impacted K-pop long term. When the various labels sent their trainees to form WIZ ONEs, the 2.5-year contract indicated that this would be short term, when the group's disband date would be in early 2021. All parties involved planned around this date, CJ Entertainment's Mnet, as well as the various labels where the trainees came from. Throughout WIZ ONEs' run, Produce 48 would be beneficial to both CJ Entertainment. The labels would lend Mnet their trainees to get experience, debut in a wildly popular group, and bring their companies more exposure. These labels saw WIZ ONEs as an investment. Mnet and CJ, on the other hand, would make bank off WIZ ONEs. Both sides would profit immensely from this partnership, and the Produce series would capture a big portion of the music reality show business. Until the vote rigging, that is. But once the group's contract ended, the labels wanted their stars back, and with good reason. For instance, Starship Entertainment wanted Jang Won-young back so they can place her, presumably, in an upcoming female group. Since she's only 18 in Korean age, she's still quite young, and plus, has a 2.5-year experience in a top-tier group. This makes Won-young one of Starship Entertainment's strongest young stars. The labels also wanted to make 100% of the profit from their groups, not share a cut with Mnet and CJ by having them in WIZ ONEs. Since there were 12 members in WIZ ONEs, plus Mnet, plus all the other individual labels that sent their trainees to WIZ ONEs, they all have their hands in the profit pot, that pot being divided in so many ways. But I'm thinking that individual labels, and perhaps some of the members, think they can make more, that they're leaving a lot of money on the table by staying in WIZ ONEs. And if we look at one of the S-tier female groups, Blackpink, they're guesstimated to make anywhere from $8 to $10 million each. And even though YG takes a big cut from the Blackpink members, it's believed that each member makes bank through music royalties, merch, or commercial films, also known as advertisements. These advertisements can net each member $1 million or more by itself. So to make this type of Blackpink money, individual labels are incentivized to cut out the middleman, basically Mnet and any other labels involved, to create a smaller group under their umbrella and reap all the profits themselves. As mentioned earlier, this helps the idols themselves, as they'll get a much bigger cut of the profit pie. And for all this to happen, their labels needed to recall their idols back from WIZ ONEs. Perhaps some of the members of the group also wanted to secretly move on. Now, if this is true, the members would not want to admit that publicly, since they didn't want to disappoint the WIZ ONEs by saying, yeah, we kind of wanted to move on and do other activities now. Because saying that would severely hurt an idol's career and image. But at the same time, idols are always looking at their next move, especially since everyone knew that this group had a time limit coming in. After all, the former members are coming off their biggest career move yet by being in WIZ ONEs, and they want to capitalize on that. Being committed to a K-pop group limits what an idol can do, especially if they want to commit to acting, joining another group, or doing solo projects. For the J-line, or Japanese members, it gets a bit more complicated, whether they want to continue their careers in Japan or come back to Korea, with one of the HKT48 members, Miyawaki Sakura, set to graduate from her group. We'll see what moves the other members will do in the future. One of the biggest influences from WIZ ONEs is that it gives K-pop fans a much better impression of J-pop. Since the J-line of the group all come from the AKB48 family, K-pop fans may check out AKB48 or HKT48, where the J-line members come from, and they may be surprised to find out that there's more talent in J-pop than they originally thought. While TWICE is the female group that's known for having 3 Japanese members, those members didn't popularize the AKB48 brand. After all, Sana, Momo, and Mina were all trained under the K-pop way. They never experienced the AKB way. With WIZ ONEs, however, their 3 Japanese members of Sakura, Nako, and Hitomi came either from AKB48 or HKT48. Produce 48 was also based off the AKB48 model, exposing the AKB48 family to many K-pop fans. And I would say that before the show, many of these K-pop fans had little respect for J-pop and the AKB brand. J-idol music just wasn't their thing. Plus, these K-pop fans would say that the dancing, singing, and music videos were pretty bad, and their training was pretty horrible compared to the polished K-pop standard. And you know, these K-pop fans do have a strong point, as J-pop's biggest strength, especially starting out, are their charisma, friendliness towards fans, and being relatable with the motto, idols you can meet. Yet there is talent within the AKB48 family. But the best way to show that there's talent to a K-pop fan is to have J-idol talent debut in a K-pop group. WIZ ONEs would be the perfect vehicle to ease K-pop fans into introducing J-idols. These days, you have a bit more K-pop fans checking out J-pop acts such as AKB48 and Nogizaka 46 to learn the history of WIZ ONEs' J-line career before debuting in Korea. And while J-idol groups are still niche in Korea, even with the success of WIZ ONEs, I like to think that it's given a little bit more respect because of WIZ ONEs' J-line. The group should also get more credit for bringing more casual K-pop fans back to, well, K-pop. When I talked to WIZ ONEs, a lot of fans actually came from J-pop, either through fans that like Japanese music or the AKB48 family. These fans were casual K-pop fans but resonated with WIZ ONEs music since they had some J-pop influences. Other fans liked older female groups such as Sonushide and Kara, and WIZ ONEs reminded them of those groups, while other casual fans stumbled upon WIZ ONEs through a stream, YouTube recommended videos, or through the mamas. Or for gamers, they found the group through Miyawaki Sakura's YouTube gaming channel.
Boom! 死んでください Boom! はい、そうです
And from there, those gamers became interested in WIZ ONEs. As for Sakura playing Resident Evil Village and stumbling a bit, a lot of gamers resonated with her down-to-earth personality. Of course, many fans also got into them because they were Produce 101 fans and really liked the Produce groups. But I wouldn't discount a group that can draw in casual fans, the everyday person, into standing them. And that's what WIZ ONEs did. I always believe that if a group can resonate and draw casual fans, it shows the true popularity of a K-pop group, since it demonstrates that a particular K-pop group is known to the general public and outside of K-pop fans. Produce 101 and 48 may be dead in Korea, but the show's legacy lives on. Produce 101 Japan had a limited fan following, as the show was unfortunately region-locked and required fans to either live in the country or use VPN. The strict copyright laws of Japan hurt the show's growth. On the other hand, China's Produce series fared much better than its Japanese counterpart. Chuang 2020 in China, also known as Produce Camp, became quite popular during its first season. The show had Luhan and Tao, is shown to a country with over 1.5 billion people, and a country that welcomes K-pop. China is a rising power in Asia, and shows like Produce Camp help further Chinese music in the region. While we'll most likely never see another Korean Produce show ever again, hopefully we could see newer, non-voting rigged shows that could hit Produce 101 and 48's popularity. But if the experiment of could K-pop and J-pop idols work was any indication, Produce 48 and WIZ ONEs showed that not only could Korean and Japanese idols do well, but formed a group that would have a big impact on K-pop in just 2.5 years. So thank you for watching this video, and I'd love to know your comments in the comments below. Two other things to mention. If you want real talk with no fluff on how the K-pop industry actually works, then please grab my free ebook by signing up for the email list below. And if you like what we do here at Popstory, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. It's not necessary, of course, and we're honored if you just watch our videos. But for those that do support us on Patreon, we have some cool perks waiting. And I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, everyone.